Hey, YouTube. Alright, so I just finished the fourth book of the Joe Pitt series, Every Last Drop. And, I really feel like I'm starting to get to know the characters really well. That thing that happens when you read a series and they start to become your friends almost. You're like, oh, Joe, oh, Celia, oh, Evie, that's so you. I feel like the author in this case was having the same experience. He was nailing them. In some of the other books, I felt like the characters were kind of still being built. They were making decisions that I didn't feel they might actually make, or I was kind of surprised they would make because I didn't feel like I got to know them as well. Like I said in one of my previous reviews, I think of the second book, I wish that they had talked about Joe's past a little more in the beginning. They go into it later on, but I'd have loved to know his whole backstory, maybe even have a flashback or something to when he became a vampire or right before it became infected with the virus. But this book was so good. Some of the lines were hilarious. Okay, spoilers, there's this one part where he's being sealed up into a body bag to get into like the coalition or getting to another group to spy on them. And they're like, oh gosh, we're really glad you're here, Joe. We needed you. And he's like, oh, it's so glad to be needed like this as they're zipping him up. And I have literally laughed out loud. And there's a lot of instances like that in this. So basically, in this book, Joe, after the events of the last, Joe has burned all of his bridges, and he's living as a rogue vampire. He's living in a rundown apartment with cockroaches and druggies, and he's barely surviving, taking tiny jobs just to get some blood to survive. And he just wants to get back into the Bronx. He needs to make good with all the clans before he can do that, because else he steps in there, he's literally a dead man. He's a dead man walking, no pun intended. But, so he basically becomes a triple agent for all three clans, Fritos, the Coalition, the new one. You know that he's going to be loyal to Amanda, the Horde girl from the first, who he saved and kind of killed the parents. One of them asked, the mom asked him to. It's a long story. Read it. But, you know it. And he ends up helping her realize how difficult running this clan she came up with is going to be and coming up with a cure. But he and Celia, who was her bodyguard, who I love, she's also in a couple other books, and she is now her girlfriend, help her to run this and survive because basically Joe being a triple agent, he's there to kill her because all of the clans want her dead. And she comes up with a cure for a virus. They lose all their power. People will be normal again. They want to stay vampires because Frito and his old friend rose to the top and they want to stay there. So he's basically working as a triple agent. He's just trying to do this all to get back to Evie. Evie, his girl, is his main goal. He knows she's in the enclave and he wants to get her out, but he can't just walk in there and take her alone. So towards the end of the book, he actually does get into the enclave because Daniel's new heir, who's that spoilage kiddo? I hate him. He wants Joe to be a part of the enclave and work side by side with him because a lot of the group doesn't like the new leader because they love Daniel and he feels like there's going to be a rebellion. And he also thinks Evie might be part of that rebellion because she was the last person to be changed while Daniel was alive and he chose her. But Joe kind of fools him, thinks, oh, sure, I'll talk about it. But really, he's just there to see Evie. When he sees Evie, it's so real. She basically tells him, you lied to me this whole time. You want me to leave with you, but I don't know who you are. And I don't really know who I am now or what I want to do. But I've made friends and relationships here, and people have taught me how to survive, and I can't just leave them to die because this new leader is going to try to wipe out possibly all of Daniel's loyal followers who still love him. You know, this new leader is just a spoiled brat and has no idea what he's doing, just like Joe. Joe promises he will be back for her. He's not giving up on her, which I have mixed feelings about because she told him to get lost, and he's like, I'm never getting lost, but that's another story. He basically decides to leave her because he knows so many people want him dead. He's basically backstabbed all the major clans. So he leaves her there to do what she has to do, which I thought was incredibly real. One thing I did like about this book is usually Joe in the past would do what he had to do that was best for him. Every single choice he made, he'd consider other people, but he'd always go with what would make him succeed or survive. And in this case, he makes some choices for Evie and Amanda that kind of surprised me, but it made sense to the character's growth, and I really enjoyed seeing that. There's also some new aspects. There's a new love interest. She was this tough Latino girl from Brooklyn, I think, and she was pretty funny. She was like really after that. She was so into him. But he, of course, only has eyes for Evie, so he kindly turned her down. But she helped him get into the Bronx, which was kind of interesting. New character, new strong female. I liked that. Um, and I'm really hoping that they kill Phil, who is just basically this vampire wannabe. He just is basically their slave, does whatever they want, helps them get blood, gives them blood. I just think he's tricky and he needs to be crossed out. He's in all the books and he has helped Joe, but he's also backstabbed him and he's not loyal at all. And I think they should have killed him a long time ago. But we'll see. There's one book left in the series and I'm very excited to read it. I really can't tell if this is one of those series that's going to have a happy ending or not, but I don't know if it would make sense for it to. I don't know. And a lot of tragedy happened in this book. Joe realized some things about how vampires survive. He went to this place and saw basically humans being used as a meat source. They were just on slabs, blood being drained. It was very traumatizing for him, and he knew he couldn't stop it or save them without basically dying and killing a lot of his acquaintances. So he had to leave those people, which was really upsetting to him. And but you really saw how it affected him. Where in the past he didn't have that many emotions or feelings, or you didn't feel it yourself. When I read a book and feel what they feel, it's like, wow, I'm so connected to this character. And this is the first time I really felt that when he was going through that and other things in this book, and I really enjoyed it. The character growth is great, and this book was probably my favorite. I think it's getting better and better, so can't wait to read the next book, and thanks for sticking with me, YouTube. Unfortunately, the next book will probably be a while because I'm reading the Grave Witch series with my sister, who's on a trip right now. So we're trying to have like a little book club to keep in touch, but I will get to it at some point this year, I promise, if anyone's interested. So thank you for hanging out with me and listening to my review. Have a good week.